On fire.
Randy Orton gave him the RKO.
As he was on fire, people.
As he was on fire.
Emotion deep, hope you drown too. I see your scars, yeah. Don't cover them up, yeah. I play with your heart, yeah. Rip the Torah apart, yeah. Said you in love, ran out of love. The gang, now it's your man. Ay, chasing the bag.
What's good? Dark Knight Gang in the Stunt Gang. Yeah, you already see the title. WWE TLC, ups and downs. I told y'all, I got y'all. It's Christmas Eve. I hope everybody has a great day tomorrow. A great Christmas. You already know. Shout out my boy Simon. I mess with Simon heavy. Shout out What Culture Wrestling. They part of the Dark Knight Gang. I don't care about none of that. But nah, for real, this video is long. You guys already know it's like 20 minutes. So I'm going to try not to pause it too much. So whatever I have to say, I'm just going to speak over Simon. You feel me? Let's hop into the video.
It's on the pre-show. We just had an 8-man tag from absolutely nowhere. Because it was Daniel Bryan, Big E, Chad Gable and Otis taking on Baron Corbin, Shinsuke Nakamura, Cesaro and Sami Zayn. And I thought it was really fun.
That's a good...
Why this wasn't announced beforehand, I don't know.
You got some heavy hitters on this 8-man tag team, okay.
Again, the Firefly Inferno deathmatch wasn't either. And this was building to a story that's just so happened going to go down on Xmas Day. Because towards the end of the match, all the heels went, bye-bye, Sami Zayn. We think you're a giant asshole. They left. It allowed Big E to hit the big ending. So we got a visual pinfall over the Intercontinental Championships. And now they will have that match on that SmackDown with the belt on the line. You got to imagine
SmackDown come on tomorrow, huh? On Christmas Day. I didn't know that.
Excited in my loins because then maybe finally in 2021 we push him properly before, and I damn well mean it, he becomes the Universal Champion. Don't at me. The show then started properly, and there was yet more surprises because it was the WWE title TLC match between Drew McIntyre and AJ Styles. So straight away I went, well, they must have something big planned for the end of the whole thing. Little did I know. Still, with all that aside, this was awesome. I'm
surprised that this match is so early on, you feel me?
Since that AJ Styles was fighting a bigger dude, so he started working on his knee, but because Drew McIntyre is a Scottish warrior, he started to beat up the challenger.
I mean, you know Drew McIntyre is a straight up beast too.
Who was on the outside, although I was a bit like, what has this guy done so far? As far as I can see, he seems to be very good friends with Matt Riddle. He seems like a nice dude. Maybe he's just out there for moral support. Otherwise, you've got the fear just because he's really tall. From there, it was just carnage with both guys using all the weapons, including Drew McIntyre at one point, picking AJ Styles up, chucking him over the top rope, and he crashed through a table. And I know that doesn't sound as nuts as some spots we've seen in the past, but if you haven't seen it,
I'm sure that
just go and watch it. It does not look like a fun ride. It also meant that as McIntyre started to climb the ladder and you thought, oh, he's going to win really early, out came The Miz, out came John Morrison. They then threw Drew McIntyre through a table, and if you can believe it, that's right, they cashed in their money in the bank briefcase, which apparently I keep in my pocket. It meant the match became a triple threat, and if it wasn't for Omos, The Miz actually would have become the WWE champion, because he then started to climb up the ladder, but finally this guy was in there. He grabbed him and for some reason held him like he was a baby. And he started going, rock-a-bye, baby. I'm like, well, this isn't what I was expecting, but the visual makes sense. But he too chucked the Miz over the top rope, through a table, everyone was dead. This sent Morrison absolutely crazy, and he just smacked Omos with a chair. And I love it when this happens, because Omos is really big. He just sold it like he was impervious to pain, like steel doesn't affect him. Just turn around like, man,
so this dude better be a beast
then. So now, what I want to happen, given that WWE may be heading in a more edgy direction,
is the Black Giant.
Someone to shoot Omos live on TV. It just goes twing, and it falls on the floor. And he's like, man, now I've got to go get my suit cleaned. Given that The Miz had screwed up, though, you kind of realised he was never going to win the championship.
Dang,
and that's pretty much what happened here. AJ had his hands on it, but then he was tossed off that to the outside, because that's what we had to do. The
Cashed in for no reason.
Kicked right in the face, which allowed Drew to go up rung by damn rung, grab his WWE title, and thankfully,
I'm not mad about it. Drew McIntyre
go into a brand new year. Drew McIntyre, all things considered, has had a brilliant 12 months. And the big brouhaha was,
I'm not mad at it.
We wasted the money in the bank briefcase again. And look, you're not wrong, but we wasted it when The Miz beat Otis for it. Because you could have turned Otis into a brand new star. The Miz doesn't need to be WWE champion. He's The Miz. He's been doing this for years. He's found his place. This was so much fun, though. Like I say, Drew is just brilliant. And actually, when it comes to TLC matches, WWE kinda has a flawless record. They're always enjoyable. Paul Heyman interview was next, and you know the deal. Him and the Reigns clan want to kill Kevin Owens. Once again, little did I know, the murder was actually going to be on the menu.
Oh, so they actually...
For KO. The momentum then continued too, because we were having Sasha Banks versus Carmella for the SmackDown Women's Championship.
Yeah.
Although I haven't particularly...
We got Barbie Gang versus Crip
The match
Gang.
itself was flipping good. Up. And we all know that Sasha is a brilliant wrestler and can have a match with a broom, even though if WWE advertised that, you wouldn't tune in. But we have to take a step back and give a round of applause for Carmella. This has to be her best performance to date, and she also has a trump card because that code of silent submission thing is really, really good. Like, I totally believe, yeah, if somebody tapped out, that would make all the sense in the world. It's kind of dumb that she has to grab her foot to apply it properly, but man, that's wrestling. And admittedly, there was too many, oh my god, I can't believe they kicked out of my move faces. I think we had about 32 of these, but Carmella actually did something I'd like to see more wrestlers do. After she had hit, honestly, the most devastating X Factor I've ever seen, she took Sasha Banks' face and just planted it right into the floor. She tried to cover, but Sasha kicked out. So before she did she then tried to cover again and again and again and again. That's what you should do. Then you can be shocked, like Carmella was, but at least you gave it your best effort, as opposed to sit there going, well, you know, I tried to pin her once, what else? Of course, the servant got involved, and he's now called Reginald, but thankfully that didn't even end in a screwy finish. It did result in a near fall, but then Sasha Banks locked in the bank statement, Carmella tapped out, Sasha Banks is still your women's champion. What a fine little tamale this was. And then all that carried on thanks to a backstage segment with Billie Kay. It is imperative that we find at least 5 minutes on every show to feature her, because she went up to Asuka, who of course is looking for a brand new tag team partner, and said, Asuka, I should be that person. Here's my CV. If you look at it, you'll see I'm more than qualified. I mean, she's just a dork in the best possible way. She told Asuka she could speak Japanese, but she couldn't, and she'd even made her own mask, which was a paper plate with a smiley face. Billie Kay is the best. And of course, Asuka didn't agree and shouted that Kay wasn't ready for any of this. Look, I know it was dumb, but I'm all right with wrestling being dumb when it is like this.
Too stupid.
Give me more. And then it was another great match with another right winner. And I'm talking about the Hurt Business taking on the New Day for the Raw Tag Team titles. What are we going to give it?
New Day beat the Hurt Business?
Xavier Woods also made sure this had next to get punched beforehand, because he said, Hurt Business, you may have taken us on before, but you've never taken on Big Match New Day, which is what you're about to do, as if they're the final boss. But then guess what happened to Woods and Kofi Kingston? They actually lost. The Hurt Business are your brand new champions. Woods was taking a beating for Kofi Kingston's got the hot tag, and even though he did run wild, at one point he went from the boom drop.
I just need to know.
Shelton Benjamin just grabbed him in the powerbomb position before him and...
Okay, I was about to say, if it was Bobby Lashley a part of it, y'all know Bobby Lashley is indestructible.
It's so fabulous. Kingston though then rolled out of that, hit the SOS for a near fall. At this point, I was just locked in already. These four guys are such good wrestlers. We even had another storybook ending. I don't mean it meant like the prince kissed a frog and it turned into a princess, whatever the hell that strange story was. I mean, it all tied into the narrative, because Shelton Benjamin had this all wrapped up when he ran up to the top rope and suplexed Kofi Kingston, but then Alexander was on the outside. He tagged himself in, hit the lumbar check, and got the visual 1, 2, 3. And although Shelton Benjamin and MVP were very happy about this, they're also like, this Cedric Alexander guy, he really strayed. But honestly, this makes all the sense in the world, because MVP's group having all of the gold makes them feel like even bigger badasses, and now you can shine an even bigger spotlight onto Cedric Alexander. I know I go on about it all the time, but this needs to be his vehicle, this needs to be his ride. I don't know where we're going with
Cedric Alexander's a good wrestler. I like him, so...
As twice a bigger star as he is now. Times 2. It's not like he screwed up. That's what usually WWE does in this situation. Like, oh, you shouldn't have been arrogant because you just lost the match. No, he didn't. I'm actually intrigued to see what we're going to do with this. Also, as we are getting to the end of the year, let's face it, the Hurt Business has been one of the best surprises. WWE was then riffing on that Tom Cruise
and Bobby Lashley does not take L's.
I suppose at least it was topical, because we had a clip of Sami Zayn yelling at some stagehand going, I can't believe you screwed up the Sammy Awards. I mean, it was fine. It was a little bit on the nose. To be honest, I kind of thought about skipping forward, but I don't.
It was
I'm
unnecessary.
very proud of my job. And then in the least shocking surprise of the year, because it had leaked everywhere hours before, it was Asuka and a mystery partner taking on Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. And yes, that mystery was none other than Charlotte Flair.
Hold on. I didn't know. So when I reacted to Raw yesterday, and I was just like Asuka and Charlotte versus Shayna Baszler and Nia, I was like, oh, that match would be fire. I didn't know they had it on TLC.
I'm giving it up.
Hold
Now
on.
everybody is mad because she is back. But come on, man. Let's just get over ourselves. She is a great wrestler. She does make the women's divisions feel bigger. She does come across like a star. And if
She is
all
a
of this
star.
ends with another
She be
Asuka
cheating.
versus Charlotte Flair feud, I'm all right with that.
Me
When
too.
have they ever had a bad match? The commentary team even dared to remind us that not only was it Nia Jax who had injured Charlotte, hence why she would want this spot, but also around the same time, she was feuding with Asuka. So that was nice. It was rewarding you for being a long-term fan and maybe planted some seeds for what's next. The whole time Charlotte was also desperate to get her hands on Nia Jax, but that damn Shayna Baszler stopped this by pulling her off the apron. But of course she did get in there. She ran wild, as was Asuka. They would do it all right as a team, even though in the past they have hated each other. Charlotte also hit that moonsault off the top rope to the outside. And much like that AJ Styles bump earlier, I know it's not as crazy, but how are people doing this? I'm going to close my eyes, I'm going to jump backwards, I'm just going to hope that two people are going to catch me. I wouldn't do it, I'm a big wuss. Ric Flair was also shown in the back watching this, and because he has now entered legendary status, I mean he's been there for years, he is allowed to look at television screens like a normal human being, and then back in the ring, Asuka hit the hip attack onto Nia Jax. Charlotte was able to roll through the Kira Feud clutch. She hit the natural selection, 1, 2, 3. And if you can believe it, and I know some people can't, your brand new women's tag team champions are Asuka and none other than Charlotte.
That's
I will say that it does
okay.
feel a little bit.
I'm not mad at it. Y'all know for weeks I have been saying Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler is cheating. That's like Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar. Who gonna beat them? I see it. Yeah, this is the only team that could beat them, bro.
Such a Banks storyline where you have people that are
I've been saying that for weeks.
and they break up and then they go after
This
the
is
Raw
dope.
Women's belt.
Hey, WWE, y'all did a good job. I'm not even mad.
We
All right,
proved that it worked on Friday nights, so why can't it work on Monday? Also, I am just desperate for a top-tier women's title program at the moment, or at least with the Raw belt. It's all been squiggly, scraggly, and pushed together for too long. Let's just stop it, and let's promote War Women. What a concept. Also, come on now, who else was the mystery partner going to be? Like me? Trust me, you would have been twice as disappointed. Sami Zayn confronted Big E about this audio, and Big E didn't like that, so he was like, getting out of my face. I could have just done without all this. We didn't need it, especially because the pay-per-view was only like 2 hours, 59 minutes. You could have cut out these 5-minute chunks, but I guess it is building to their big match on Christmas Day. Please, for the love of everything, let Big E win. Our penultimate match of the evening was then Kevin Owens versus
I don't
Roman
like Sami Zayn. Do I want Big E to win? It'll be cool to see the homie get the
Universal
title.
Championship
Yeah, go ahead,
in
Big
TLC
E.
number 2. And yeah, I was scratching my head going, so then Bray Wyatt and The Fiend in the main event despite only announcing that stipulation on a random Wednesday? I should have prepared myself, but who cares? Because this, oh my gosh, it lit me up. Pun up. Roman and Owens also worked a very different style from the opener because they basically used every single weapon they could find as a knife. Like at one point, Roman Reigns had the steel stairs and he was just smashing it into Owens' face and body like he wanted to see his brain. That's all I could come up with. He was like, oh, I'd love to see what a brain looks like. Oh, there's some metal. Crash. It did have a cool start, though, because Kevin Owens jumped Roman Reigns, but of course he forgot about Jey Uso, or at least even though when he did fight him off, which he was successful a few times, the big dog was always rattling around the corner like the tribal chief, oh, Roman, we love you, that he is. Owens then realised pretty quickly he was going to have to take out Jey Uso, which he did by smashing him with a chair and then Pillmanizing his ankle, so he had to be helped to the back. But all that did was allow Roman Reigns to recharge his HP, then he absolutely ran wild. This dude, on the quiet cases around, is a sociopath because he got ladders and he got chairs and he just
had to recharge his HP.
Kevin Owens, including backdropping him through a couple of other chairs too. I mean, I was like, his poor
So
brain,
Roman Reigns,
his poor
all right.
back. Nothing is going to be working.
I mean,
today. All is
like I've been saying,
war, though,
heel
so
Roman
was
Reigns,
then suplexed through a chair by Kevin Owens, but once again, just as he was about to get on the front foot, who was back? Repo Man, not Repo Man, Jey Uso.
Yeah,
Once again, though, Jey is just not having a good time of it because although he was able to stop Kevin Owens climbing the ladder, within seconds he had been powerbombed through the announce table. And I had a mini breakdown here because I was like, if Roman Reigns...
I don't like how this makes Jey look, though.
Jey Uso is going to have to move to Gibraltar because he ain't going to be able to hide. Roman then used all of his power to try and end Kevin Owens' life, which Paul Heyman had already talked about. And this kind of was just an extension of SmackDown. Like, KO had been beaten so bad that when Roman did try and get the belt, he pulled himself out of all this wreckage and just grabbed Roman's foot like he had nothing left. It pissed off Reigns, so he speared Kevin Owens through a table. But then when they brawled to the outside and Kevin Owens was against the barricade, Roman went for another one. Kevin got out the way and Roman went careering through the flipping sides. So this whole match was absolutely nuts, but it did such a...
This sounds like an insane match. I'm sitting here like,
I'm not only making you want Kevin Owens to win,
I'm visualizing everything like,
the biggest babyface and the biggest hero ever. Once all this was done, he was then climbing up there, and I was like, get it, Kevin, come on, get it. And I sounded really weird. And of course, we know that when Roman Reigns is in trouble, he only does one thing. He takes his hand, and he punches you right in the balls. That's what happened to Kevin Owens' testicles. He was done. Reigns followed this up with the guillotine choke, which meant because he was all passed out, Kevin Owens fell from the top of the ladder, which meant all the Tribal Chief had to do was put his hands in the air. He is still your Universal Champion. Sorry, I misspoke. He is still all our Universal Champions. Roman, thank you for being my head of the table. A sad Owens watched all of this as Roman did leave the arena. And come on now, the amount of people he had to fight off. And all I want now is there to be a story for Kevin Owens. Please don't put him back into limbo WWE like he was beforehand. This guy is so damn good, and he deserves everything.
Throw him a tag team partner, cuz.
Reigns is an absolute
Throw him a tag team partner, cuz.
Every single, not just the head of the table chair, every single chair around my table just gonna have reserve Roman Reigns, reserve Roman Reigns, reserve Jey Uso, reserve Roman Reigns. I'll go eat in the mud. I don't want to die. Which ties into our main event. But before we do get there, we have to talk about one of the funniest things that has happened on WWE TV in ages. Because during the Roman Reigns-Kevin Owens match, Roman powerbombed Kevin Owens onto a ladder, and Michael Cole shouted out, "Spinebuster," through a table. Then when we had the replay, Michael Cole said it again. I don't care if this was a botch. I had tears in my eyes. Michael Cole, you the flipping man. And then, right, okay. I don't even know where to start. Let me just catch you up to speed. Right, in the middle of the week, WWE said on social media, "Oh, by the way, Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt, it's going to be a Firefly Funhouse Inferno match." I was like, okay, that's cool. It's got a nice visual. Why you didn't big this up on Raw, I don't know. But not in a million years did I expect this. As ever, the winner was whoever could set their opponent on fire, and due to this, both Randy Orton and The Fiend were wearing more clothes because this is smart. We also kept things safer here because the flames were like around the barricades where the LED boards are and not around ringside. And I know that's not as dangerous, but you do know that flames can actually kill people. This way makes much more sense. He started with The Fiend no-selling all of Randy Orton's moves as ever, but then halfway through, he went under the ring and he found an axe. And that's not a verbal typo. He found an axe and he went to get Randy Orton. So the only thing I can fathom is that Bray Wyatt's plan was, well, before I set him on fire, I'm going to cut off some of his limbs.
Right.
What the hell? Some of that didn't work, so Bray instead threw Randy into a rocking chair and then poured gasoline in a line and set fire to it. And as if you were watching Reservoir Dogs, the flame shot that way. And if Orton hadn't gotten out of the chair at the last minute, yes, he would have been set alight. And again, I know that's the point of the match, but we really went into another dimension here. In the fracas, the hand on the axe had caught on fire too, and that was a pretty cool visual. And it led to Bray Wyatt using the mandible claw on Randy Orton and pushing him towards the flames. But then Mr. RKO
you can't tell me this is not fire, man.
He pushed Bray Wyatt into them, and this dude was on fire. I ain't talking like Kane Inferno match on fire, like, oh, his arm. He was ablaze from head to foot, and he even ran in the ring.
On fire.
Randy Orton gave him the RKO. As he was on fire, people. As he was on fire. If you've been asking for more edgy content, pow, pow, pow. Literally, they just gave it to you. Eventually, thank goodness, the Fiend was no longer burning to death, and Orton looked at this like, man, maybe I went a little bit too far. But then the voices in his head must have said, actually, Randy, you didn't go far enough, because he then doused Bray Wyatt in gasoline, took a match, and set him on fire. And again, not like a little bit of a flame. I'm talking about, I don't know, some kind of bonfire you had. The bonfire wasn't a bunch of wood. It was a human being. I mean, a serial killer human being, but a human being all the same. And yes, that meant the last shot of the pay-per-view was this.
How did they pull this off?
I'm sure he'll be in an okay way. In a, that man is 100% dead. And I can only assume that when Randy went back to the curtain, the police
It must have been pre-recorded though. You know, obviously it's pre-recorded.
We just saw what you did. Now, of course, thanks to no
so that
fans,
gotta be a dummy.
I'm not an idiot. I do realise there would have been a switch somewhere, and I do appreciate WWE taking advantage of this.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like,
depends on what we do now. If you just have the Fiend no-sell this, there's a Firefly Funhouse later, and it's like, oh, I was a little bit hot, but now I'm fine. That's gonna suck. but if it's going to change his character somewhat, I actually think that's pretty smart.
See, this
Also,
is what
don't
I'm
give me this
saying.
nonsense about
This is what I'm saying. They need to do more pre-recorded matches to where they can do more like special effects, like setting people on fire, having somebody's head get chopped off, like random things like that, bro. WWE gotta evolve. You feel me? We ain't got no crowd, so evolve, man.
We've been doing this nonsense for years. It
that's
also means
fire.
I'm going to bring down
This
my
match
kill 'em
sound
count
fire.
to the board that I invented for
Kill
when
'em
wrestlers
count?
send death threats to other wrestlers. We put it up to 13, which kind of makes sense, but now I'm going to retire it because how the hell am I ever going to top this? Thanks a lot, Randy Orton.
Bro, TLC was fire. Nothing but ups, no downs. I understand why he rated it that way. The way Simon described all the matches, bro, I literally was visualizing it and just seeing what happened. TLC was fire. The Fiend was burned alive. Oh, I can't wait to see how they play off of that. Look at me, I'm hyped up, bro. I'm a nerd. I don't even care about none of that. Let me know what y'all thought down in the comments, man. You already know. They doing SmackDown tomorrow, so when they drop the top 10, I'm going to react to it. Like I told you guys, I'm actually going to start investing more time into it so I can know exactly what's going on. I promise y'all that. But anyway, I'm going to see y'all next time. Everybody stay up. Peace.